Coach, just an overview of the event in Atlanta this weekend, taking on Georgia, a team that's playing really well right now.
Yeah, neutral games, those are so prevalent now in the new landscape of college basketball, so this is a really good one for us. And, we were looking to make sure there were some quad one games on the schedule. This is a quad one game no matter where it's played because they're very good. And, as you mentioned, I don't follow the polls and all that, but to me they're top 10, top 15 team in the country right now. You look at how they're playing both offensively and defensively, the depth that they've been able to utilize. So this is one of those big-time college basketball opportunities pre-Christmas.
Nearly 100 points a game. How do they compare to Louisville in terms of playing fast, getting up and down, and obviously they put it in the hole?
It's the pace of play because, again, we played Louisville and the pace of play was so significant. Scott's a good question, but the way in which they do it, there's some similarities and there's some differences, right? I mean, they're generating a lot of things off of their defense. They're jumping into some form of press after every made basket. They're really converting turnovers and long shots or quick shots at the rim that kind of are like turnovers. They're turning them into baskets at a crazy high frequency. So there's some similarities with the way that they'll shoot early in the clock from three to Louisville. But the difference is so much of their attack in the open court generates from turning people over defensively or making people take difficult shots early in the clock.
What have you seen from Jeremiah Wilkinson? Seems like he's having a really good season as a high-volume scorer for him.
Just really aggressive. Whether he has the ball coming down the floor, whether they find him in the open court, whether he's in space and pick and roll, like extremely aggressive player that, you look at the numbers, he jumps off the page when he's averaging, 18 points a game or something like that. But, again, they're in space a lot, whether it's the open court or kind of 4 out, 1 in. He's really good there. He's been good in their pick and roll stuff, and he looks really aggressive and confident.
First in block shots, fourth in total rebounds. What type of challenges does their length in the front court present?
Yeah. Again, they have a lot of rim protection. And so I think, the decision-making in the open court, when they press and they, throw two at you in the backcourt, our ability to make the right decision when there's numbers and get quality shots, not turn the ball over, that's really important. And, I think your rim decision-making is important because may have some opportunities to get down there, but you go take on a shot blocker and throw up a difficult shot. That's very similar to a turnover, and they convert that at the same rate they convert turnovers. So, yeah, their length in the front court's a factor. Their rim protection's a factor. The rebounding game is a factor because of that as well.
Speaking about Jeremiah Wilkerson, obviously, Canon Catchins is another guy you saw last year at BYU. How have you seen his game develop from year 1 to year 2, especially in a new system like Georgia's?
Yeah, he had, I think around the time we went out there last year, he started to kind of find his rhythm. He was a guy that we were really worried about when we played BYU because he can make a contested shot. He can make a unguarded or a guarded shot. So you can do a great job on him, and he's 6'8", 6'9", and he can still look you down and shoot it, dribble it a couple times and shoot over you. So we felt that way about him as a freshman. You can see the improvement from freshman to sophomore year, and obviously has a bigger role at Georgia and looks confident within their system.
How much have and can you tweak with the week between games when it comes to, obviously, you're doing a lot of great things defensively, but more so focusing on the offense?
Yeah, I think we started that process weeks ago. So it's not about like sweeping massive changes. We kind of attacked that stuff maybe, I don't know, now days run together this time of year for coaches, but a couple weeks back, we started thinking about, hey, there's some things we got to really adjust here. And we've been trying to kind of slowly install those things at the right time, work on those things every chance we get So this week was really important for that process. But it wasn't like we waited till this week and went, okay, now. I mean, we've been able to kind of see some deficiencies in our offense. Certainly, the ball will go in more. We'll make more free throws. We'll make our layups. I think that helps. But I think some of the adjustments we've made offensively over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we just had more time to work through them in practice this week so far.
A lot of teams that want to play fast on one end defensively want to slow you down and kind of grind you out. You mentioned Georgia's not of that style. How do they coerce you into taking maybe quicker shots than you want?
Well, they pressure. So again, they try to jump on the ball every time they score, and so you don't see that as much in college basketball. Now they do a terrific job of it, but they'll jump on the ball and try to jump into full court man-to-man. You'll see people in today's game consistently maybe try to pick up the ball in the backcourt or jump on the guy that's getting the outlet, but they're able to kind of do that on the basketball, on the guy taking the ball out of bounds and the guy getting the outlet. So they're applying dead ball type pressure on made baskets in a live ball situation. And that obviously speeds the game up because now people are having to make plays under duress. They'll come double team and do some other pressing things to give you some slight advantages in the open court, but they do a great job of hustling. If you go watch their Florida State game, there's some advantages for Florida State, but they're hustling their tails back into the play, and it's by design. So they will give you some opportunities to attack, but they're hustling back in. They have that rim protection, and they can force you into some very, very quick, difficult shots that, speed up offensive possessions for the other team and give them more possessions. They've, again, I think it's, hats off to Mike because the two sides of the ball have really blended together well for them to start the year.
There are worse records than 6-3. You mentioned that at the Xavier game you saw some signs. Do you feel you're close to turning the corner?
Yeah, I think it's all perspective, Scott. I feel like we had a really disappointing loss to Eastern Michigan. There's no way around it. But that's a 1-2 possession game. We're in a 1-2 possession game pretty much for the entire game against Louisville. And we're in a 1-2 possession game or a 1 possession game in the last minute at Xavier. So I think if, you've won a couple more possessions right now, I think, people may feel a little different about us. I don't think that would change where we are, right? We're in this process of learning each other, trying to get the right guys or trying to get our guys healthy so that we can get the right combinations out of the floor. And it's not just healthy to play in the game, but healthy to build the right habits in practice and work together. And we're in this process of becoming a very good team, which we will. And so I think when you can step back, you can go, hey, a couple possessions, people might feel a little better or the record may look a little different. But that's life and that's basketball. And I think in my position within our locker room and our team, our job is to win the day-to-day. It's to get better today. It's to try to really focus on the details that could help us win 1 or 2 more possessions. And I think if we'll continue to do that, I think we'll be the team that we know we're capable of becoming sooner rather than later.
You've talked a decent amount about Baba and Jaylen just kind of battling through injuries and missing practice. Where are those guys at in terms of, are they at 100%? What more do you need to see from them to?
Yeah, this week so far for Jaylen Celestine is the first time since he's been here, he's been able to put together 3 straight days of practice without any restriction, any hiccup. And that goes back to him getting here in the summertime. And he's one of those seniors that's older, that's experienced, that's versatile, that when we put our roster together, we felt like connected the roster because you could play him in different places and he could connect the roster in different ways. So he's such an important lineup guy for us. And so it's been nice just to have him in the game or throwing him out in the court. But he'd be the first to tell you he's been behind the 8 ball with just whether it's simple stuff like, transitioning to offense and defense. He's maybe a step late because he hasn't practiced and played, conditioning, timing, or it's stuff that's, new to him here, like our defensive principles or our plays or, learning how to play with his teammates, he's been a step behind in all those areas. So getting continuity of practice with the guys over 3 days without any restriction and any issues with his back, I think that's been very positive. The more of that we get, the more he'll continue to he made some really nice plays. He made a big 3 in the last game, but you'll see consistent plays like that also. You'll see some of the errors will start to really dissipate because he's a really, really good player, really smart player, really capable player. And then who is the other guy you asked about? Yeah, Baba has been full go, and I think Baba was playing some of the best basketball of his life before he got hurt against Louisville. It's not like he's been bad. He had 17 rebounds against Xavier, but he's another guy. He practices about as hard as anybody we have. He's religious about his work in the mornings, and he's been great about focusing on habits that are impacting success on the floor. And then when he's working on those things, he's doing those things. I think the thing that we saw with the time away when he started playing again, some of those old habits that were hurting him kind of come back out. And this week he's been back in the gym consistent. So I think his play will continue to improve too.
Kerr taking 91% of his shots, I believe, from 3. Is that by design of the offense? Is that something the defense is doing? It's just wildly higher than any other season in his career.
Yeah, I think number one, we really believe in his shooting. I mean, he's just a terrific shooter. We coached against him. That was something we were terrified of. So I think if he's getting good looks from 3, we're happy. And I think he's going to make plenty of them. As you can go back and look over his career, when he's gotten good looks from 3, he's made them. Certainly we'd like to get more shots at the rim from our entire team, and we'd like to make more of those shots. I mean, in our last game, I think we missed 4 true layups, not like coaching talk layups. I mean, we missed 4 true layups, and, I think we had three 2-footers that we had an advantage that we missed. That's 7 rim shots that, you should be 7 for 7, at worst 6 for 7 in those situations. We're 0 for 7. So I think as a team, we have to get more shots at the rim, and then we have to convert those shots. As a team, I think we got to continue to get fouled. This is the most we've had a team get fouled here in a long time, getting to the free throw line. Now we have to convert those attempts. You're shooting 50% from the free throw line. It doesn't do any good to get it in there, get fouled, and then go to the line and come up empty. So I think those are some of the things we're focusing on. And Kerr would just be one of the guys that we have to find ways to put more pressure on the rim, get around the basket a little bit more. But him shooting the ball from 3 is a good thing for our team if they're good looks.
When you go back on tape defensively, you took away the 3 from Xavier, made it really difficult for him, but they shot, I think, 67% from 2. That's not something your teams have been prone to. Was there anything that stood out that, you think you need to fix, or was it just one guy had a big game?
Yeah, you know me well, Chad. I think you know that during that game, or as I go back and review the game, that would make me very angry and frustrated because, that's not been something I've seen a lot. That's been consistent year after year, team after team, wherever the heck I'm coaching. So, there's definitely some things that we were able to identify, attack in practice, attack in film, for sure. So that was frustrating. And then you got to give credit. I think I can't think of his name, but the kid Trey Carroll made some really tough ones over the top, and some of those you live with, and you just clap your hands. But we made some errors to give him a lot of easy ones with angles and fouls, and that's how you let somebody get into a rhythm, and then they can make the tough ones. And so I think some of the shots over the top are just tough shots, and you clap your hands and you run down and play the next play. But it's the easy baskets with the very simple errors that we made, or the angles that we give, or the lack of ability to contest without fouling. That's some of the stuff that frustrates you. By the way, not just with him. It happened at other points of the game when you mentioned the 2-point rim percentage.
I see Jaylen Haynes before the games. He looks fizzled. Any update on him that he can come back and help at some point?
I certainly hold out hope for that. He's working incredibly hard. I've been really impressed with his maturity and his approach to this injury. And I do have a lot of hope that, sooner rather than later he'll be able to put on a jersey so we can see what, having the runner-up for A-10 Player of the Year in the front court with that experience and toughness and competitiveness. I'd love to see what that looks like for our team. I'd love everybody to see what that looks like because he's obviously was such a huge part of us putting this team together. He has not practiced, so I don't think it'll happen this week or next week, but I wouldn't put it out of the question at this point.
You're familiar with Santos Suril from the recruiting process. What challenges a guy with that kind of size, strength, athleticism down low?
Yeah, he has great presence on the floor. He's about as physically gifted as there is in college basketball. I don't think you'll find a guy more physically gifted. You can see the improvement from freshman to sophomore year. So he presents challenges, defensive challenges. He has the ability to give great rim pressure in the pick and roll or in drop-off situations, and then he presents a lot of challenges on the offensive and defensive board. And I'm sure there's other things, but that stuff just jumps off the page at you.
Baba, you've been around college basketball for a while now. How close do you think this team is to clicking, and what do you think are a few of the things that you guys need to get on track to get this thing rolling?
I feel like every game we're a bit closer to how we want to play as a team. At the end of the day, it's still December. It's early. We're 9 games into the season. So, I feel like we're still learning each other. A lot of new guys, but, every day we're working towards that, like finding our rhythm on both ends of the floor, and I feel like we're getting better at it every day.
For both of you, losing the last game, is that incentive to get it going this week and another tough game? The games keep coming, I guess, but it's certainly not an easy one.
Wait, can you repeat the question?
Incentive, losing the last game, how much incentive is it to turn this thing around?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's definitely a tough loss, but, we got to move on. We got another big game coming up, so just feel like we got to get better in practice every day. Coach West has been hard on us, pushing us, and I feel like we need that. We needed to pick up the intensity in practice, pick up the energy, start making practice feel harder than the game, so when we get to the game, it becomes easier.
Looking at the close twos and this free throws, obviously you guys are practicing this stuff. You guys are working on it every single day. Is there any other stone to turn over other than just in that moment when the lights are brightest? You just got to find a way to flick that ball in on the layups or get the right touch with the free throw line. Is there anything else to add to it, really?
Yeah, I feel like it's just finding our rhythm. I feel like at the end of the day, we all put in the work. At the end of the day, we're all in the gym working on this stuff every day. I think it's just mental, honestly. I feel like we just got to find our rhythm in the game. Like,